whatever. I can kind of do whatever I need to do, right? And there's something very freeing and healthy about space. And I feel like, our day-to-day work life, and by we, I mean just society generally speaking, there's no slack in the system, right? Like if you miss this deadline, you miss this thing, you miss this timing, like the world moves so fast that, everything is urgent all the time and always. And it's really nice and healthy and safe to sit in a space where urgency is just not a thing.
We've done three, sorry, four whole seasons of a podcast.
We've done 4 seasons of a podcast. Actually, do you remember when we first started?
It's all
The
a
con-
blur.
It's all a blur. I think we debated whether we should do a podcast for some time.
Mhm.
I don't know if we maybe felt convicted when we first started of like, this is a thing we should do. We really want to do a podcast. We really want to like, share a message with the world. And it's interesting because I think the more we've done it, the more I've realized that almost every episode we do, I feel like I learn something.
Mhm.
Or there's like a takeaway, like it's an intentionally or like a powerful reflective tool.
Mhm.
And it's been really fun and invigorating and life-giving to talk to experts and guests. And maybe the sub benefit is everybody we've invited has said yes.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
People
We
just want to be part of it.
Yeah,
It's great.
as two people who work from home, we love going in person with
Yeah.
clients, but we also love getting to just even be over Zoom with folks. And so getting to have these conversations with people and learn from them is really fun for both of us. I've really enjoyed seeing, the listenership grow. So I hope that anybody who tunes into this today or has tuned into other episodes, I hope that you've gotten all the learning and hopefully, informative golden nuggets from this that we tried to offer because that's what we want to do this for. We wanted to do this not only to be able for the two of us to talk to people that we really respected and wanted to learn from, but to do the teaching, to share with folks who we might never actually get to work with anything and everything that we can to support them as they are leaders and support their businesses.
Yeah, and today feels always fun to do a season recap. It's nice just to revisit and talk back through what were some of the key lessons, what were some of the key learnings, what was the good stuff. And also just with the timing of this conversation, we're also going to add a new topic today, briefly around the power of retreat and sabbatical, because Hannah just spent 10 plus days, 10 plus days in Italy, enjoying time away, getting to, drink wine on the Mediterranean and not think about, I don't think you responded to an email
Nope.
while you were away, at least that I saw, which is amazing.
Nope.
Um, and I'm about to spend 3 weeks with my family on a true sabbatical in Alaska and not do much of anything as it pertains to work. And we'll talk a little bit about how you set that up, how you manage for it, and how important it is that it's part of our DNA and part of our culture as an organization to be away and how important that is. So we'll talk a little bit about how to set that up. But
Yeah,
anyway, I'm
absolutely.
excited about that conversation.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Before we get to kind of our big picture, yeah, conversation, I do want to recap, yeah, the topics that we've touched on. So this season was a little different for those of you who didn't listen. If you're listening to our season recap as your first episode, interesting choice, but that's okay. So basically, this season, what we did is we decided to provide case studies of different pretend companies and struggles that they are experiencing and how we would sort of prescribe a solution to those struggles. So we talked to several different, or we discussed several different fake companies, Velocity Ops, Bright Path, North Star, Evergreen, Harborcraft, Trailhead, Northline Goods, and a couple different others. And we looked at kind of what are their surface level problems and then what's behind that, what's causing those, and how would we help as consultants. And it was the two of us doing that, but we also had a couple of our guests, our speakers come on and do the same thing, which was really cool to get their input as well. And we started to see some patterns emerging. It wasn't usually about the cash or the meetings or the software. It was usually about something deeper, about a gap between what the leaders wanted to achieve and how their organizations were actually built to achieve it. So I'm going to kind of touch on a couple of episode highlights. Uh,
I'll
yeah,
just
go
jump
ahead.
in though and say too, you mentioned pretend, companies, but real issues. I mean, the
Yeah.
truth is these are things that we hear on a regular basis. We've worked with 250 plus clients in the last 10 years, and everything that got raised is something we hear not just once a year, but multiple times a year. So the case studies are grounded in reality of what businesses actually face on a regular basis. Just to say it. In case this is the first episode that they're tuning into the
Yeah.
season recap. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, listeners, the issues that we're about to briefly review, we highly suggest go back and listen to the full episode and, check out the full conversation. This is just going to be, again, a recap. So, the first kind of thread or trend that we noticed was leaders choosing tools or talent to sort of put a band-aid on a deeper foundational issue. There were two companies, Velocity Ops and North Star Creative. The pattern was that leaders tried to solve systemic problems by adding better things without fixing the foundation, like new A players, like stellar talent, or new software. They hired, maybe big dog operators, as we like to call them, that really had no onboarding to experience or like a process to step into. And so there was a lot of chaos that happened or blame. And then with North Star, they got ClickUp, a project management software, but they didn't really create like an enrollment plan. They didn't get people bought into using this new software. And so the takeaway from those two episodes that were rather similar is you can't hire and buy your way out of a broken system. You have to build the rituals and the processes first, and then you invite the people in to live in them. And I know that this is something, obviously, that I care very, very much about because I love building new onboarding and systems to then invite really stellar players in to using.
Yeah. Well, I think, maybe one of the other components that came out is it's really a good thing to have A players. It's a good thing to have high talent, high drive, highly effective people. And sometimes those people can mask a systemic issue because they're good, because they're talented, because they can do more than maybe the average human can do in their role. And so they can mask things. And then once that person leaves or gets elevated into a different role or whatever it might be, or they're gone on a sabbatical, for example, you start to see like, oh, this doesn't work without them. And that's really not a great way to build a long-term sustainable business and a sustainable practice. It's a great thing to have A players. It's an even better thing to have A players in a system that works without them.
Yeah, it's kind of wild how sort of the easy choice is to hire a really capable and competent person because they're not easy to find, but it's easy to say, well, everything's fixed now because we have, you know, Kathy, Jacob, John, whoever in that role. But Kathy, Jacob, John deserve to go on a sabbatical. They deserve to go on a break, or they deserve to retire or change careers. And so then what are you going to do? And it's not the easy thing to actually analyze the process and make it better and build it out with structure and documentation. But Kathy, Jacob, John, whoever they are, can help you do that while they're with you, and it will ultimately benefit the business in the current time because analyzing process will help you find what isn't working and make it better, but also in the future when that person wants to go on a break or change positions or whatever.
I keep imagining that this person's name is Kathy Jacob John as their last the way that's said. So Kathy
Sure.
Jacob John
Yeah,
deserves to get step away.
they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
The other thread through a couple of our episodes, I think, is directly tied to what you were saying about like kind of the masking of things. So, two other episodes, we talked about this company called Evergreen Home, and then another one we talked about Bright Path Growth. And they are both fake companies, fake slash real, that were busy they had people that were being busy and they had a lot of data on their people, but it was actually masking a lack of clarity as to what was going on in the company. Everybody's just kind of running around and getting stuff done, and they're collecting data on what's getting done, but they don't actually have a lot of strategy to the work. And they weren't totally sure if the work they were doing was actually really effective. So with Evergreen, they had endless meetings where decisions were discussed but never made. And with BrightPath, they had dashboards everywhere, but no decision engine. Data was just being used to argue, not necessarily to navigate. And so the takeaway with companies like these, with that kind of like masking issue that happens, is activity is not progress. If your meetings don't end with who is doing what by when, and your data doesn't tell you what to do next, then you're just spinning your wheels, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a common issue we see. I think the world has evolved where data is easier to obtain, right? It's easier to build a
Yeah.
dashboard or see the data, but just because you have the data doesn't mean you're doing it. You're using it in a way that actually benefits the business. I think really what those episodes highlighted is, yeah, but data for what and for how, and how are you using it to make decisions? How are you using it to organize work? How are you using it to modify strategy? Right? So collecting data is a step in the process. It is not the only step in the process.
Yeah.
You just have to do something with it.
Absolutely. And this takeaway, this theme is something that I am always grateful to be reminded of. I mean, to your point about why we wanted to do this podcast and what we appreciate most about it is coming out of every episode and learning something. That, activity is not progress thing is I have to remind myself or have people in my life that remind me of that because I love activity and I love action. But if it's just movement and it's not, yeah, true strategic action, then what's the value of it? And why get wrapped up in it? And why continue a cycle that doesn't work? And so I like talking about those things. I really enjoyed both of those episodes. I think one of those was with Liz as well, Liz Douglas, who came on and talked about the Bright Path
Hmm. Hmm.
client and her ability to kind of say like, okay, yeah, you have a lot of numbers, but like, what is it telling you, and what decisions are you going to make based on it? It's reminded me in working with our clients to be like, okay, maybe we started off with a certain initiative, or maybe their existing processes are X, Y, and Z, but why? Like, is it actually working? Is the bottom line benefiting from how things are being done? Is everyone using their time on valuable things? And if not, then we need to change. Like that just we can't just keep letting people just move around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then the last thread that I wanted to mention, kind of uniting a few of these episodes, we're going to refer to as like the danger of the drift. So Harborcraft Kitchens, Trailhead Wellness, and Northline Goods, their pattern was that success had actually led to complacency. They kind of drifted away from their core model, their core cash flow discipline, or their core story. For Harborcraft, they were $7 million in revenue, but also almost missed payroll because they stopped forecasting. So they were flying blind. With Trailhead, they added digital products to a service model without separating the operations. So the result was burnout. And then with Northline, they scaled really quickly from 5 to 45 employees, but they never codified their brand story. So they had all this kind of fragmented messaging. And the takeaway that we got from those three episodes to kind of summarize was growth amplifies the cracks. If you drift on your financials or your model or your story, success will actually make you fail faster. And this was the one that I feel like is the most complex, and honestly, probably the episodes that we could have done a part two for, because that's such a unique struggle. And I think it probably happens more often than we realize.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the other variation on the drift is how we think about operating the business, which is we just get into complacency mode
Yeah.
at times on certain aspects of the business, or you get into complacency mode on goals or targets. It's like, hey, let's just do the next thing that's right in front of us. Let's just do the next thing that's right in front of us. And you do that for so long that eventually you just drift to the edges of what your system can handle. And then you start to find cracks and you start to see it fall apart, or you start to experience issues that you didn't have before, like almost missing payroll. It's
Mhm.
like, well, you drifted in practice, but you also drifted mentally as a leadership team to not be paying attention to, yeah, but how are we doing it better? Is this the right type of growth? Do we want to do exponential growth, or are we just fine with linear growth? And when you start to, experience those edges and you find those cracks, that's a good indicator. It's like, we're drifting.
Hmm.
Let's pause, let's reflect, let's figure out, is there a different way for us to do this? Is there another way for us to see this that will help kind of get us back into breakthrough thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for any listeners out there, I would highly suggest if one of those subjects, topics is something that you're experiencing, go back and check out those episodes. But I'm going to kind of segue us here to the second half of what we want to talk about today, which was how do you construct a business that can run well when you go on a break or when you do change careers or when you do sell or, exit. And that often is the best lens to start analyzing your business through is does this business carry its own weight without me here? If not, then where are the cracks? What do we need to address and fix and find? And I think that with the two of us, me being gone for 10 days, Dave about to be gone for 3 weeks, it, I think, kind of sparked in both of us like, are all of our clients going to be okay? Are our employees and teammates going to know what's expected of them? Will this all still run healthily and smoothly as it should? And so maybe this is kind of a good time for both of us to ask that question. And for any of you out there, I would say maybe go take a break and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we often ask the question like, are you building a job or are you building a business?
Hmm.
And I think we took that question to heart, maybe a couple of years ago and started really thinking about like if I asked myself the question 3 years ago, if I left for 3 weeks, would the business survive? The answer was probably no. Right. And I think not because we didn't try hard, not because we didn't have good effort or good clients or good anything. It's just it was so dependent on either me knowing everything about clients or Hannah kind of spinning herself up to know about all the clients, etc. And we were maybe not as organized or systematized or had a solid enough approach or practice that we could cover each other effectively. It was a little bit more based on, are we good at what we do? And the answer to that was, yeah. But am I good at what Hannah does? And is Hannah good at what I do? And do we have it systematized and organized enough where if I step away, she could step in, or vice versa, where if she steps away, I could step in and know what's going on. And I think it really forced us to build the capacity internally where, any one person on our team can fill the gap. And so I would argue over the last, probably 2, 3 years, we've worked really hard to build a business and not jobs. And it's allowed for some of that capacity. And, I'm leaving in a week for 3 weeks. And honestly, I'm not that stressed. I anticipated being way more stressed out than I am, and maybe I should be more stressed than I feel right now. I don't know, but maybe I have a blind spot that I'm not thinking of. But the reason I don't feel stressed is because we have the right team in place doing the right work. The gaps are covered, the systems are built, the machine runs. And if I'm not there, it's probably okay. Could I leave for a year? Probably not, right? But can we leave for 3 weeks and can the system keep running? Can we keep doing all the things that we're doing? Absolutely. Can we meet our clients' needs? Absolutely. And there's few things more freeing as an entrepreneur than, knowing I don't have to work 12 hours a day, let alone every day of the week to build the thing that we want to build and to have a good life and a healthy company with great people.
Hmm. And it's such a simple way to kind of analyze your business, just to ask like if I was going to be gone for 3 weeks in a week, what would fall through? What wouldn't work about that? What would stress me out? Who would I need? That kind of thing. And you can just start making a list of what wouldn't happen or what would break or fall through or whatever. I do that kind of analysis with the clients that I work with when it comes to process documentation and operations optimization. I'll come in and I'll say, okay, like who on this team is holding things on their shoulders way more than they should? Who on this team knows something that other people don't know? Who on this team, if they decided to go change careers tomorrow, would cripple everyone else? And then I need to understand as much as I can about that role, document it, and make sure that we're good to go when and if that person does need to take a break or whatever. And so it's kind of the litmus test or the lens through which I look at a lot of the businesses that we work with. And one of our clients just experienced this actually where they were preparing to be gone for a little while, and we kind of helped them think through, okay, well, who needs to own what? And have you set expectations with that person before you step away? And I think that really helped them, feel like they actually truly could and everything was fine. So it is kind of a very accessible way to start doing that analysis. The next level or layer of that would be, yeah, if you're thinking about exiting or if you're thinking about moving on or whatever, then you have to kind of go into a deeper level of analysis. But it's all kind of through the same approach. It's like, what would be attractive to a potential buyer? And I'll tell you right now, what wouldn't be is, yeah, we've got Kathy, John, Jacob over here, Jacob, John, or whatever, and we can't survive without her. Well, that's not very appealing for someone looking to buy a business. So great. Then we start there. We document Kathy's job. We understand as much as we can about her role and her processes. And then we know that if Kathy decides to retire or whatever, we're good. Okay. That helps you move toward that exit or that sale that you want as well. So it is kind of the same frame. It's just different context.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hannah, what happened to your brain while you were in Italy? How often did you think about work?
Oh, I didn't. I didn't. I told
Yeah.
you yesterday. I spent 3 hours yesterday morning just being like, what do I do again?
Yeah, what do I do for a living?
But it
What
was
was
it
I
was
working on?
yeah,
Yeah.
one of my favorite moments on vacation was Chris and I went to this beach in this tiny little town in Italy, and he was like swimming in the ocean, and I was sitting on the sand, and it was like one of those really meditative moments where I realized I haven't thought about something in probably 2 minutes. Like no thought happened in my head and it
Yeah.
was nirvana. I mean, you want to achieve that kind of level of peace. We need it as humans, and you know, dare I say, like monkey brains, we want to achieve that level of peace. And it's hard to do that when our brains are constantly spinning from work. And so I'm grateful that I got that time away to achieve that kind of clarity because it does. When you can declutter all the things and all the needs and all the process, you find true clarity. And when I came back yesterday and I sat with myself and asked myself, well, what exactly is my job? It was really nice to just kind of list out, like, okay, before I left, what are the things I remember the most about each client? If I remember them the most, if they are the things still sitting with me, then they are going to be my North Star moving forward because clearly they're the most important things we need to work on. And I think most of that has lined up with the conversations that I've had since then and cluing back in with people and being like, yes, I do remember that that is a thing that we need to work on. Yes, I do remember that that is a priority for you and things like that. So, yeah, it helps.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate what you said about kind of that nirvana moment of, oh yeah, I'm just it because to me it feels like freedom, right? It feels
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm just free to think about whatever I want. I can put my toes in the sand, maybe I drink a glass of wine, whatever. I can kind of do whatever I need to do, right? And there's something very freeing and healthy about space. And I feel like, our day-to-day work life, and by we, I mean just society generally speaking, there's no slack in the system, right? Like if you miss this deadline, you miss this thing, you miss this timing, like the world moves so fast that, everything is urgent all the time and always. And it's really nice and healthy and safe to sit in a space where urgency is just not a thing, almost to recoup and re-energize. But also, I think in particular, the clarity component of it, of like your brain just has the capacity to be open to things that maybe it wasn't open to before because you're not in the emails, you're not making sure that the Slack messages are responded to, you're not checking your to-dos, you're not doing that kind of stuff on a regular basis. You're thinking, what do we want to do for dinner tonight? I don't know. Whatever we want is a really special thing, right? And that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to leave. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to go to Italy or Alaska or these different places that we have the privilege and opportunity to go to. I mean, you can retreat in your same town, right? You just have to separate yourself from what's going on. And, it's a piece as an organization, as a company that we've valued the whole time. There is no PTO plan here. There is, hey, have you left? You should probably go, right? Like we need space, we need breaks, we need capacity. And at the same time, I don't think either one of us has ever abused that, except for maybe this year, to a degree. But I don't know if we've ever abused it because we still care a whole lot about the work and we care about each other and we care about the success of what we're trying to do. So I would say the thing I'm most looking forward to in Alaska is it's going to sound random, but we're going to be there on the longest day of the year, June 21st. I might experience what, 22 hours of sunlight looks like. And I'm kind of excited about that. We're going to be essentially at, Denali during that period of time, like the farthest north spot we're going to be in. And, we could be playing volleyball at 2 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
That's awesome. That's great. And you deserve that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really what we wanted to get to with you guys today. So thank you for tuning into the recap and thank you for going with us on our sort of foray into, yeah, how do you achieve freedom really from your business? Even though we know we all want to fight for and support our businesses, you also deserve freedom from it.
Mm.
And if it means that there are things that are in your way of that, it's time to focus on them and do something about them. And we hope that this podcast, other resources, the people that we've brought on to speak on this podcast can help you do that. So, to all the listeners, if you have tuned in with us in season 4, thank you so much. And we hope that you not only work hard, of course, but work with velocity so that you can also achieve freedom in your business. And yeah, any other well wishes for our listeners, Dave?
See you in a few weeks.
Yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
tuning in. Thanks for tuning
Absolutely.
in. Yeah.
Yep, we love dissecting problems with you. If you haven't listened to any of the episodes, go back and check them out and come back for season 5. We'll let you know when that's going to drop. And until then, go enjoy a little bit of freedom.
Go. Happy summer.
Thank you for joining us on Business Velocity. Today's insights are just the beginning of enhancing your business's momentum. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also explore our framework at theevolveddifference.com. And remember, the time is now to take these strategies and apply your learning and achieve velocity. See you next time.